you?
Yeah.
好
Okay.
好
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CLTA NCR's Online Technology Workshop Series, Session 5. Before we start formally, let's invite the president of our association, Professor Raphael Zhang Xiaoquan, to introduce our guest presenter.
Thank you. Good evening. 晚上好. Bonsoir. Welcome to our workshop. I know everybody, including me, is looking forward to a real presentation by Heidi, so I promise my intro will be pretty short. It is my honor to introduce Madame Heidi Trude, whose bio I have put on the shared screen. We are so lucky to have Heidi here tonight, presenting on a very important topic about promoting creativity and student voice. Heidi is a French teacher at Loudoun Valley High School in Purcellville, Virginia. She has 12 years of experience teaching every level of French, from French 1 through AP French. She's a master at integrating technology meaningfully into a world language curriculum. She has won many teaching awards for her teaching excellence. Most recently, she was the finalist for a 2019 ACTFL Language Teacher of the Year. We are so glad to see you here tonight. I'm sure we all believe it's very important and productive for teachers of different languages, different backgrounds, and different levels, not just K to 12, but also pre-K to 16 to learn from and to inspire each other. I'm really excited that we have this opportunity for mutual support at this very trying time. Thank you all for coming, and many thanks to Heidi for taking your time to share and to inspire us. Now, please join me in welcoming our speaker tonight, Heidi Trude. Heidi 老师.
Thank you, merci. So I will go ahead and share my screen, and I will put in the chat while we're doing the switch of the screens. I'll put the link again. I know several of you have joined since that was shared out. So you have access to this presentation. No worries, you can use it as much as you want. There are lots of tutorials in there as well. So it's in the chat, but I will go ahead and I'm gonna put my presentation up right now. So just give me a second to switch around. There we go. Hide that. All right, you guys should be seeing my screen right now, hopefully.
Yes.
Awesome, wonderful. So good evening, everybody. My name is Heidi Trude, and thank you so much, Raphael, for that introduction. You guys have made me feel so welcome here. So I am looking forward to this hour with you all. And if anyone wants to stay more than an hour, I don't have anything else planned on a Friday night, so I can hang out with you all as long as you want me. So we are going to talk about amplifying student voice and creativity tonight, and this is probably my passion is this topic, and it's one of my favorites to talk about. I have done this webinar so many times. I've done this as a 3-hour workshop. I've done it as an hour in-person, online, you name it. So this is my favorite to do. So I'm not going to introduce myself anymore. Here's the link again. So I'll leave that up there for a second or two. So in case you haven't got that, you can grab that. So you'll have all the resources. It is case sensitive. So it's bit.ly CLTA 61220. So it's today's date. So CLTA 6/12/20. And again, that will give you guys all the resources for tonight's presentation. It also includes, I put a ton of my other resources in there as well, just because I am one who likes to share a lot. So you have that, and I'll also show you my brand new tech website that has even more resources and goodies for you all. So if you didn't get the link, don't worry, it's in the chat. And for those of you listening on YouTube Live, I know they are sharing the link there as well. So we're going to go ahead. And in case you need to reach out to me, feel free to email me at any time, and I'll try to get back to you within the same day if possible. My email is techietrude@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. My handle is @htrude07. And you can also find out a lot of new information on my website, which is just techwithtrude.com, and it should be taking us there, hopefully. There we go. So if you come on the website, you'll see the workshops tab, which gives you all the workshops that I've done throughout the country. They're all there. You have access to all of them. It has articles and publications I've done, webinars and podcasts are on there. And then I have my section on technology tools for language learning, and I break it down by categories. So all of that you have access to. If there's something you can't find and you want me to work with you on, please just contact me and I will gladly put it on my website for you. All right, so there's all of that. So let's dive right into our objectives for tonight. So our objectives for tonight, we're going to explain what student voice and creativity looks like in the world language classroom. We'll talk about how we can design activities to promote student voice in the classroom. Also designing activities to promote creativity, which goes hand in hand with student voice. And we'll share out some ideas that you guys come up with. I'm going to give you all a way to share out at the end on how you can promote student voice and creativity in your own classroom. So those are our goals for tonight. And I know that's a lot to cover in this short amount of time, but we're going to try to hit all of these. So we're going to jump right in. So part one, we're going to deal first with student voice, because before we can get to creativity, you've got to understand why is student voice important, which is so important in the language classroom, especially now more so than ever, making sure we're hearing from our students, especially with distance learning and who knows what the future holds for us. So to think about, and we're not going to actually take the time and share and discuss, but just think to yourself, what does student voice mean to you? And how might you promote it in your classroom? So just kind of think back either before school closures happened and maybe even now during the closures, what have you done to promote student voice? And if you're like, Heidi, what is the student voice thing you're talking about? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you what that is. Just kind of think, what have you done? What activities in your classroom may you have done? So student voice. Let me describe it to you, and then I bet you're going to be like, oh yeah, I do that in my classroom. So student voice is basically, the definition is that you're hearing from every student in your classroom. So you need to hear from every student every day. That should be part of your routine. So if we think about it, what are some ways we can do this in the language classroom? I mean, when we are face-to-face, we could call out on our students, etc. But I found sometimes the students will shut down when you call out on them and they don't want to participate in that way. So a tool that I've found that's really helpful for me in hearing from all my students, even my shy students who won't speak at all, is using technology. And I found that that's a friendly format for the students. They don't feel as threatened in this format, and it worked amazingly well once we transitioned to online learning. It was very user-friendly to go to, so it's my go-to. So, all right, come on, there we go. Now we're advancing. So my favorite of all tools to use for promoting student voice is Flipgrid. So if you have not used Flipgrid before, you can click the link on this slide here. So it's signup.flipgrid.com from, and then my name, Heidi, 4642. And that will lead you to a Flipgrid account. So you'll be able to create, and it's free. That's why we like it. So it's a free program, and I'll show you what it does. I use it all the time, and I'll show you guys even cooler reasons probably than what you ever knew about it already. Some ways that you can really amplify student voice and take that learning to the next level. So if you've never ever used it, this is the link you would click. You can click to create those accounts. So Flipgrid is where all your social learning happens. So this is kind of just a screenshot from Flipgrid of what it looks like, and the kids love it. Like my students all go crazy over Flipgrid videos. I like to make them myself too. So it's very simple, and their main premise is every student has a voice, and we need to amplify that voice. So it's our job as a teacher to make sure we're giving our students those opportunities to share out, to share what they know and share their learning. And their mission is to empower learners of all ages to define their voices, share their diverse voices, and respect the diverse voices of others. So I've also made, so if you're also new to Flipgrid and you've used it maybe as a teacher, but you've never tried it as a student, I've given you here either the QR code you can scan or the Flipgrid code, the link itself. And that would actually give you the opportunity to try it out as a student. So it's just basically a place you can play around with it and try it so you know what it will do. So not a problem, you can just click it and it would open it up just like you were a student. It would take you there, and this is just one I made when I give presentations. So there's all kinds of people in this one from different places, but you'll see I give you a topic there and I made it as a video. You just hit the plus sign when you're ready to respond, and I just asked you like introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, one thing you hope to learn. It's just a way to practice it, but you don't have to do that right now. You can go back later and make them in practice and see there's so many cool tools on there that you can use. But that's just for you guys to do. So how it works, very simple. There we go. So it's super simple. It can work on any device. Students can use their phones, Chromebooks, laptops, desktops. Any platform pretty much works. Any device they have, iPads, all of that, not a problem. You as the teacher, you create your class, which they call it a grid. And that can be for your students. You could make one for your school, for your staff, community, whoever you want. You also control who accesses it, and you can personalize it with your own banner, like color scheme, whatever you want. And then you decide on your topics, and that's going to be what your kids are going to talk about or a challenge you're going to give them. Nice thing that I like with it, and this is the feature a lot of people miss, is the moderation feature here. That means only use, if you moderate your videos, only you as the teacher see those responses. And in some cases, that makes it less threatening to the students. They're going to be more likely to respond if they know, okay, it's only Madame who's watching this video. It's not shown to the whole class, especially if they're shy or if they've been bullied in the past. That's a safety feature to them. So some of the times I do moderate my videos. Sometimes I'll moderate, and then I will open it once everyone's posted, and I'll ask my students to reply as well. Other nice things that I like with Flipgrid is you can add other media in there. So you could put a video on about a cultural topic, and the kid ask the students to watch that video and then share what they learned. So that's really cool. So it works with Vimeo as well. You can also add photos in there. Pretty much you can add anything. You can add pretty much any tool you have, you can pretty much put it in there, and it's awesome. So that's just some options that you can do. And then the final step is the students share their response. Nice and easy. And the beauty is you can set how long they have to respond. So you could give them a minute, or they can have up to 10 minutes now, which they probably wouldn't talk to you for 10 minutes, but you have that option. If you need to make something 10 minutes long, they can do that. They can also do a redo. They can pause their camera, they can flip it, they can get really creative with their pictures, they take their selfie, they put all the stickers up there, so it's lots of fun. They really like that part. And then you have your learning community. So this is when, once they've posted their video, they could go and watch someone else's, and then they can reply to it. And then you can give them the feedback at the very end. So I'm gonna skip that one. So obviously, you just go to the Flipgrid website, and I'm going to take you to my page in a second. And then that's really where the magic starts. So other things like, and I'll show you these when I get into mine. So I'm just going to switch screens. I had my Flipgrid up. I will get that up there again. I must have closed it. I apologize. All right, here comes my Flipgrid. So we're going to just jump right into my Flipgrid right now. There we go. So I'll kind of take you around and show you some examples so it makes more sense. So I'm logged in right now to my Flipgrid. And this is my dashboard. This is where everything happens. So if I'm on my activity, I can see my dashboard. I see I have 29 grids. Yes, I know it's a lot. I never get rid of my grids, which are my classes. So I have them all saved so I can what I like to do is see my students' progress over the years. So I keep them all. You can archive them and get rid of them, but I like to see their progress, especially since I'm the only French teacher in the school. So I potentially could have the kids all the way from level 1 up to AP, and it's really cool to see their growth through the years. So I keep them all. And that's just all my stats that's happened. Then, yeah, you see what badges and that I've earned. You see things, recent videos. But then if I go to my grids, that's where everything's really cool. So this one's super, super cool. This one, I'm actually one of the moderators. We do what's called Mani Musicale. So basically it's like March Madness, but with French music videos. And this is kids all over the world. We got to participate in this where we had questions and we have the kids discussing the songs. So you could come up with something like that, share it out with the world. Really, really cool one there. These are all my ones with my students. The one that's super cool, and I gotta find it in here because I have so many of them. Well, this one's a really cool one. This one we called it Le Flipgrid Mystérieux, Mystery Flipgrid. It's like a Google Hangout, but like a mystery Google Hangout or mystery Skype, but we did it with Flipgrid. So another teacher and I collaborated, and basically the students had to, first their topic was to say hello and ask a question. And then once they figured out where they were from, and they were just asking simple yes and no questions back and forth, like, do you live in a state east of the Mississippi River? Or do you live in a state west of the Mississippi River? And the kids would reply, yes, I live in a state east of the Mississippi River. My kids would say that. Or you might ask, do you live in a city where there's a professional sports team, etc.? So they were just asking basic, practicing their French with simple yes and no questions, and then they would reply back to that student. So they had the whole discussion going. It was really cool, and the students were really, really engaged in that one. That was a fun way to use Flipgrid. The coolest one, and I'm just trying to get to that topic. Where is it? There it is. These ones are really fun. I have a partner school in France, so we do all kinds of projects with Flipgrid. So this one actually, there it is. This one actually won my students and I an award from Flipgrid. So we were the 2019 APPSMASH Madness Champions, which I will give you all the directions on how to do this later in the slide. But their project was they were using Google Maps, so Google My Maps, which is different than Google Maps. And I put my tutorial in of how to use Google My Maps, because if you've never used it, it's awesome for cultural projects. So we did Google My Maps, where they had to add 5 map pins on their map and describe them. And then they also, once they did that, they used a Screencastify to screen record, but now you can screen record in Flipgrid. So it's even cooler. Back then and you couldn't, but now they've added a screen recording tool in Flipgrid. So really cool for presentations. And then you would upload the recording to Flipgrid. So what this would look like, and we'll go to one of my former students. I just gotta find hers, the one I'd like to show. There it is. And hopefully you all are going to be able to hear the audio. Okay, so you all get the point. So she's going through describing her town and what's in it. And then the cool part is what happened then was our partner school in France responds back to the students. So he responds and then he starts talking all about his town in France. So we were able to have a whole cultural discussion and cultural comparison over how does our town here in the US compare to a town in France? Like, what were the similarities? What were the differences? And the kids found it to be very interesting of, okay, well, our town has this and their town doesn't even have fast food restaurants. Like, why is that? And it led this whole discussion outside of the classroom. It was amazing. So it's probably one of my favorite projects that I've done with Flipgrid, but now you can even make it simpler more simple by using the screen recording tool on Flipgrid, which I can show you guys that one as well in a minute if you want. So that's a little bit about your grids. Very easy to set up. You would just go to a grid, simply add it, name it, fill in all that. Now, the one thing with privacy, most people keep it to set with school email now. So that's the easy one. If your kids don't, you could create the ID list. If you want to have it public, you can do that as well. And then it would create the code. So I'll just make one just so you see how it works. We'll just call this demo. Okay, we'll use school email. Next. Yep, there's my school. That's cool. All right, my grid's ready. So now I could go to my grid. And then they give you a generic topic that says say hello on Flipgrid. So we'll just look at that one so you see what it looks like. So they've already made it, but if I don't like it, I can change it. So I can just go here. So if I wanted to edit it, add something in my description, I could. If I wanted to give my students maybe say, I don't think 1 minute and 30 seconds is enough, I could tell them, I'll give them 2 minutes. All right. If I want to moderate it just so the students feel more comfortable, I can turn on my video moderation there just like I did. If you want to put an image, so they put this cute little graphic there. If I don't want that one, I can delete it. Maybe I want to put an emoji in instead. Right, maybe I just want to put the little, that one, he's cute. We'll put him in there. If I wanted to give my kids a tip, maybe I want to tell them, smile and look at the camera, because some of the kids will decide, I'm not going to look at the camera. I'm going to be looking down on my phone, and then I just see their head going down, and I tell them, I don't want to see the top of your head. I want to see your face and your interaction, and just try to teach them to look at the camera when they talk. If you want to add any attachments to help them, you can add your attachments there. So you can put a link to a Google Doc, whatever you want, you can add it in there. YouTube, etc. You can have up to 9. You want to make sure a topic's active if you want it working now. Frozen's view only, so that means the kids can't add any other videos, they can only watch them. Hidden means they don't see it at all. Okay, in terms of features, this is the standard, is let the kids take the selfies and have fun with the videos at the end. If you don't want them to put a video title, you can turn it off. Sometimes the kids do. View count, that will show you how many times someone's watched it. Again, that's your preference, whether you want it on or off. Sticky notes, I like that because sometimes the kids need those reminders of what to say. If they want to jot a few notes down, you can have the sticky note feature. Video editing, if they want to pause it and speak in little segments and clips, and maybe, oops, they made a mistake and they want to get rid of that section, you can have that. If you want to allow the students to add an attachment, you can turn that on and off. This is the one I usually do keep off, is the video likes. Because sometimes, again, if a student sees our video gets no likes, they may be less likely to respond the next time, to be like, why did my video get no likes? Or thinking that they weren't good enough, etc. So that really helps lower the effective filter if you keep that one off. And then again, you can also allow student-to-student replies. But if you wouldn't want your kids to reply, maybe it's the beginning of the year, you don't know them really well yet, you could simply turn it off. And then you could turn it back on. And you can change this as you go too. So if you want to go back in and then say, yeah, I'll let them reply, you can do that as well. What I really like though is with feedback, you can do custom feedback. They have the basic, which is ideas and performance, but I have my whole custom rubric, which is built on our Loudoun County standards that we look at. So I always use this when I grade theirs. So I would just go ahead and then I would hit update topic. And now it's updated, and then the students could easily record their response. So as a student, this is what it looks like. Hopefully it's going to open. There we go. And it'll want me to say that, yes, I'm a Loudoun County person. There we go. So now I'm in it as a student. This is what the students would see. Other nice feature is the accessibility. So it'll read it to me. if I need it to. So it has immersive reader. I click on it, the words, they'll say them to me. I can play with the font as well. So the students who need that, they have that. You also have the contrast mode. So if you need that contrast, you can change it from light to dark, and that's available to everyone as well. So it's just a nice little feature. And then when you're ready to record, you just hit the plus sign. It will turn on. It's going to remind you all these nice little things about your camera. Okay. And then it will tell you you can also import a video. Okay, that's cute. I don't know why it's not letting my camera go. That's cool. Who knows? That's being weird, but we're not going to worry about that. So that's kind of how you would set up a topic. A couple other things about Flipgrid, the ones that people don't know about, or kind of the hidden features that are really awesome. Mixtapes. This is what I like for doing portfolio learning with my students. This lets you basically pick a student and you put all their videos together in one file. So if you're doing portfolio learning, using mixtapes is really cool to use. Video shorts is another really cool option. This allows you as the teacher to record quick videos with your students. You can download them and then they create a QR code that you can post around your room for your students. I use this for stations a lot. The disco library. This is another area that is just awesome. I kind of call it like teachers pay teachers, but it's free and it's all related to Flipgrid. So you can go through and you can find topics. They have some that are just featured playlists. So right now, of course, very popular and timely. They have one about race, equality, and justice. They also have going on, let's see, there's one in the Metropolitan Museum, there is the Met, has really cool things happening with it. You can search by subject as well. So you could look for world languages, or they call it language learning. And then you could search it and they'll pull up things. You could search it specifically for your language as well. So this is a great place to find topics, and then you can just copy them into yours and use them. So that's awesome. And then Grid Pals, my other favorite one. So if you want to connect with a school around the world or in the US, I'm going to zoom our map out just a little bit. There we go. Whoa, maybe I'll make us a little bit bigger. All right, so if you wanted to search for a school somewhere, and the map usually populates, we'll wait for it. There we go. All right, so I would search for somewhere in France, but we're gonna scroll over. And we'll see if we can find some people over here. All right, so there are some people in China. So if you wanted to find and maybe connect your class with a teacher in China to do a really cool like exchange, here we go. You would just click on their dot. And all right, we found out that is Emily. So Emily teaches language arts over there. So you could connect with her. And she has her Facebook contact info there and would be like, hey, would you like to be grid pals with my class? Or let's see, who else do we have? Like, okay. Florine, okay. So then you have some options. So you can kind of look around and find people all over the world. Okay, let me come back over here. So you can just search them. You can also search it by grade or by subject area, or you could search if you know a certain person, maybe even like a teacher over in California that you'd want to connect with. You could see, are they on Flipgrid? Do you guys want to connect your classes, etc.? So that's another option that you have with Flipgrid that some people don't know about. So that was a brief and fast overview of Flipgrid. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to come back to my slide deck. All right, so I showed you guys some projects and how I do assessments. I do all my speaking assessments with Flipgrid. We do our district assessments through Flipgrid. I give them the prompts. I even did AP practice through Flipgrid this year during distance learning because I could upload the recording, so that was really cool. All right, so we explored Flipgrid. Cool. Drink, yes. And if you need visuals, they're there as well within the presentation. So I am going to take a pause and check in before we jump to section 2. And we're going to check the chat. And we're going to see if there's any questions either in the YouTube chat or on our chat.
I just saw a couple of questions over there. One is ask you, can students in China use Flipgrid? I think you just find the free post, is over there. Did you find any person can use Flipgrid in China?
That I am not positive on, since I've never looked on that, but you guys could look and see. I don't know the rules for China and apps. I do apologize for that. But you could, if you couldn't find someone in China, you could probably find other Chinese teachers in other parts of the world, probably.
Okay, and another question is, can you please share the website to find the rubrics? You just talk about the rubrics. Could you?
Yeah, so that one, mine actually comes from my school district, like how I made it in Flipgrid. I'll go back to a grid and show you guys. I'll show you. We'll go back to that demo grid. So we have a set rubric we use in my school district. So I just took the categories because the students are familiar with all those names in the categories, so what they mean. But we have them, and probably whoever asked that question, if you want, if you email me, I can send you the exact like word for word wording in our rubrics because they're pretty complex. And then it goes and breaks it down by what each of these mean. But yeah, I could share those out. So just send me an email and I'm happy to share the full rubric, and it will show you like what it looks like and how you break down your points. What it looks like on a student side, I'll just go to a grid and I'll show you. I'll just pick one of these. Hi, we'll go into French AP. And I'll just pick one and pretend I'm watching it. So you can see how you can rate a kid. I'll just pick a first video we come to. We'll pick this one. Okay, we're not going to listen to it. We're going to pause you, Megan. But then you just rate it. I have them from 0 to 5, and I can just go through and I can say, okay, that's a 4. I'm not going to give her an actual score. Not a 5. She's probably on topic or was on topic. And then bam, bam, bam. And then I could just give her some feedback here. Fantastic. There we go. And then I can just hit email feedback, and then she gets her feedback. I could also put a sticker here. This is what a vibe is, leaving your kid a sticker. So I could tell her she's superb. And if I really, really like her video, I could star it. And that tells my other students that that's a really good example. So those are just, that's a quick way to give feedback. And then you get this kid's grades. You'll see them right there. So when you're entering in your grade book, it's really easy. Sometimes I forget to put the feedback in Flipgrid. That's
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And also the couple questions about, the Flipgrid, the apps itself. The first question is, it's free. You can use all the functions.
Yes,
free.
It is free. It is completely free. And they've just made some new updates to it today. They added that there's new features coming. So everything is free, and they said it will always be free. So
wow, that's wonderful. So another question is coming after that. Do we have to get approved, from school to use Flipgrid? Because you use the grade pause, because is there a safety issue over there?
Like, I know in my district, we do have to have parental permission to use it, but the parents just click the form because it's a bunch of tools all listed, and I've never had a parent who says no. So again, I would say just ask your district what their policies are. Ask your school, like, do you need to have permission or not? And for the most cases, everyone's parents are usually fine with it once they see what it does. Other Flipgrid questions?
I think that's so far from chat box right now.
Okay. And if anyone still comes up with a question about Flipgrid later on, you can put it in the chat. You can also email me as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more question is coming.
Absolutely.
Ask about young learners, like the
like little
we are
like,
young learners to access to free, and the things like the little one has to go through the parents' help or the permission.
like there are teachers on here, like on Flipgrid. Like if you go in the Disco Lab, you can find elementary topics. So yes, there are little kids who use Flipgrid all the time. Like here's one on Dr. Seuss. That's little kids.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you could probably take it even like, I'm just trying to think elementary wise, you could have them do little stories, say little words, but yeah, elementary students can use Flipgrid. Now, what a lot of the elementary teachers do though, is they give their kids unique IDs because probably at the elementary age, they don't have their own email. So, but elementary teachers can use it. And there's lots, like if you follow on Twitter, either at Flipgrid or the hashtag is FlipGrid4all. They share resources like every day on Flipgrid, and they have it from elementary on and down at the bottom of the page on Flipgrid, the very, very bottom of the page. Okay. Scrolling to the very bottom and it's showing all the Disco Lab. Okay, but if you go down here where it says resources.
Yeah.
It's gonna, and I have this linked in the slides as well, but it takes you and they show you step by step every little thing with Flipgrid. They also have, they call them the integration docs. And these are aged, so you could look for them by subject area, or so here's world languages, but say you teach in an immersion school, you could look here and they have them for elementary just to give you ideas of how you can use it in your classes. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Alrighty, so let's move into part 2. This is the fun part, the creative side. So we're gonna look at creativity and just kind of think to yourself how you allow for creativity in your classroom, and think about what apps or tools do you use to promote creativity. So just think about that. And I do a lot with my apps and my tools to inspire creativity and to really let my students dive into the language and really show me what they know and what they do. So there's 3 that I picked, and I'm going to spend probably more time on 2 of them and less time on Padlet. Padlet's great, and I used it a lot during distance learning because it was a really great tool for my students to use. And it does allow you to do lots of features. Though if you don't have the free version, it is very limited in the free version with the number of pads you can have versus the paid version, which my district pays for. I can have more, but if your district doesn't pay for it, you're limited to like 3, which is not a lot. All right, but Adobe Spark is completely free and I love it, like absolutely love it. And then Book Creator is paid for, but there's still a lot you can do in the free version. All righty, so Padlet, I think a lot of you are familiar with this. If you're not, I'll just quickly tell you what you can do. So it's basically like a digital wall where you can see all your responses in one form. Students can share their learning in multiple ways, whether they're using text, they're using pictures, they're using videos, attachments. Very user-friendly, looks like this. These are just some of mine. So I'll just show you like a cool one. This one's really cool. So this is one we're working on with FLAVA. My friend and I are collaborating on this one together. And this is a really good one. So if you're looking for any kind of resources and tools, etc., and there are lots of Chinese resources that our friends from FLAVA have shared on here too. So here you guys go. Here's one that's in Chinese. So for magazines for students. So that's a cool resource. Oh, here they are in French too. So these are just free magazines that you guys can access in different languages. Here's some more ELI. So these are just reading tools and resources. So you could go through and see if there's any in your languages, and anyone's open to post on these, and I can make sure you get this link as well. So you can see this one because it's got some really cool curriculum tools and tricks that people have shared. But as you can see, you can post websites on here. You can post just a text, etc. So if I wanted to add something, like if I go back on one, I'll pretend I'm one of my kids. So this was one they had as an assignment, as they had to look at an image that was in our hyperdoc and they had to write about it. They could have if they wanted to. I'll just pretend I'm a kid. I'm not going to do it for real, but I could upload something from my computer already. I could put a link in there. I could go out on Google and search for something to put in there. I could take a photo. So I could take a snapshot of myself if I wanted to. Could be a cool way to have your kids introduce themselves at the start of the school year. I can take a film. I could do an audio recording and post it there. I could record my screen. I can draw. So if I wanted them to draw a picture, maybe had a vocab story there or reading, and I wanted them to draw about it, they could draw. They could use a location, or they could link it to another Padlet. Kids most likely aren't going to do that one, but all these tools here, great way for them to be really creative. So this one, my kids were talking about technology and commenting on the image they saw and what they thought of it. So this was an upper level class. But that's just some ways you can use Padlet. So it does give you lots of options. Then we have, so keeping going. Book Creator. This one's really cool, and it's probably one of the ones most people aren't as familiar with, but it's amazing. There we go. So it is an online tool that you can use to create and publish books and comics. There's the free version and the paid version. I do have a paid version. And the nice thing I like about it too is that it allows the students to record within the program, so they can actually record in the target language. In addition, they can also embed a variety of apps into the book. So they could take a video from their Flipgrid and they can put that in the book. They could take a Google map and put it in there. They can take pictures. Pretty much most apps play nicely and you can put them in there. So again, I made a spot where you guys can join like a little library of mine and try it out. So you can do that on your own time. What it looks like, this is what your website looks like when you log in. Looks like that. Then you would see they call it your library. And literally they look like books on a shelf. And those are all the books my students have made. There's some more of them. Once you start making a book, you can choose your book shape. Kind of, do you want it to be square, portrait, landscape? Do you want it to be a comic? And then you start designing, and it's so intuitive. Like the kids, I didn't even have to train them. They just started figuring it out, and they figured it out more than I did. But they can import things in, like photos. They could take the picture with their camera. They have the pen tool, which they can draw with, the text. They can type text in there, and they can record. This is just an example of what a page might look like. This was my students doing a project of when I was young. So they put in their own photos, they wrote their sentences. Very, very fun project. And I'll show you just a few more so you get an idea. We'll go to this one. All right, so these are some of mine. Let me All right, so these are just some books just to give you an idea and what the students created. And then they start writing their story. They add in their graphics. And they talk about what happens and more of the story. And that's the end. And I just added a page in her story. Whoops, sorry about that. Those are just some other examples. I've had them, they can record the audio in there. So I'll show you one that has audio. Other thing, the cool part with it is you can also publish these out. So you can take the links and I can share them outside and make it a link. So if they'd want to share it with their parents, they could do that as well. So these are just all kinds of books. I'm looking for a certain one. And of course I can't find it right now, but that's okay. I think you all are getting the point with what you can do with these. Like these ones have recordings. So if they have the audio button there, that means it has audio and you'll be able to hear it. So it's a really cool thing. Really lets them be creative. They love doing projects like this. So very cool. And then Adobe Spark is my other one, and then I'll take questions after Spark. So Spark is very cool because there's 3 components with Adobe Spark. So you have Pages, which think of it kind of like an online magazine or newsletter. And you can incorporate text, images, and videos there. So really nice feature. I use it a lot when I'm doing like trip advertisements, when I'm taking my students abroad. It's a really nice layout feature for that. I've had the students use it for several of their projects as well, and they found it very intuitive. For Post, think of Post as a way to create a graphic. So if you wanted to create a flyer, an advertisement, graphics for your Facebook page, maybe for your organization. I use it with FLAVA to create a lot of our graphics. So you can use text and images. Think of it like an infographic or a poster. So if you wanted your students to advertise some event, or if you as a teacher wanted to make a graphic for the students in the target language and have them figure out what's it all about, you can use it that way as well. And then video lets you incorporate text, images, video, and music. And excuse me, I use it for digital storytelling projects. Probably my favorite one my students did was, it was a dark and stormy night. C'était une nuit sombre et lugubre, and then they have to figure out what happened on their dark and stormy night. Some kids go really, really dark and twisted with their stories. Others make their story, oh, in the end, it was just the cat doing something silly. But the kids love it for storytelling, and I like it because they're also adding their voice in there. They're putting their text and they add music. So it really makes their work come alive, and it shows you what they can do in the language. So again, it is free. That's why I like it. Totally free. There's not paid parts that you have to worry about. You just go to spark.adobe.com and I will show you what one looks like if it loads. Here it comes. I'm just going to close some tabs. That'll help it load faster, maybe. There we go. Alrighty, here we go. So this is one of my students. He was in French 2 at the time. And hopefully you guys can hear this. All right, so you kind of get the idea of how it works. The nice thing is all of the animation, all this is done within Adobe Spark. He adds the images, but it handles all the transitions, everything like that. So he just picked his design template that he wanted. He added in his text, and then he added in, yes, that was his own voice. He was a theater student, so he got a little creative there. And all of this is just Spark putting it all together. So that's one way you can use it. You can also do it more simple, like these ones. If it loads. Oh no, that's very sad. We'll try that again. Okay, so it's not going to load that one right now. We'll try this one. See if this one will open. Could just be the internet and the number of people who are on Zoom right now. It's okay. You have them linked in the presentation, so you can watch them. But those ones are ones for my level 1 students doing basic end of the year presentations where they're going over everything they learned, like their names, describing their families, their favorite subjects, and putting in their own personal pictures. So you can take it very simple with those as well. This is just kind of an overview and images again of what it would look like. Very simple. You said literally hit the plus button and you pick, do you want to post? Do you want a page? Or do you want a video? And then these are just some of mine that I've done throughout the time. And then just showing you with the video how simple it is. You just hit the plus button and start adding in your images, your pictures, your videos. I did a lot of these with just pictures and then picking my layout, my theme, and my music, and that's all I have to do there. It does the rest. And then that's what it would look like as you work through it. Okay, so before we hit the last topic, I will do a check for questions before we hit our last little topic.
Okay, the couple questions.
Okay.
And the first one is they're wondering Adobe Spark and the Book Creator can be used properly at iPad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do work on iPads as well. Now the app I know for Book Creator is a little bit different on the iPad than what I showed you guys on my screen. There's some slight variations, but it does work on iPads, and Adobe Spark will as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. And another question is, can students type in Chinese on the Book Creator or the Adobe Spark?
That I am not sure. I apologize. I probably should have looked that up for you all ahead of time. So I'm not sure on those. You can try and see, but I would almost think yes, but I don't want to say 100% for certain.
I think Adobe Spark, yes, in Chinese, you can.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Great
good.
for you all. And I see one, I have the chat, I pulled it up now too.
Lots of answers coming on. Okay, this is yes, they
Book
can type in
Creator
Chinese.
is easy to use, super easy to use. I didn't even teach my kids how to use it. They literally, I'm like, here's the link. And they started figuring it out on their own. Okay, I see another one that came in that says the difference between Book Creator and Story Jumper. I don't use Story Jumper, so I'm sorry that I don't have an answer for that one. But yes, Book Creator, super friendly, super easy to use. They're also, the company is very, very responsive. Like they have a feature in it. So if you want to ask them a question while you're working on it, they have a chat. So if the kids get stuck or if you as the teacher get stuck, you can ask them a question live. So that's a nice helpful thing with it. Another thing I found with it that I really like, you can, and I put it in my resources, if your school doesn't pay for the paid version and you need more books, you can become Book Creator certified and they give you an upgraded account. So then they pay for it for you. You just take a little test. It's not hard. You can Google the answers. And then you become certified and they pay for your Book Creator account. And then you have unlimited, which is really nice.
Oh, that's
and I have that link at the end for you all. All right.
Yeah. Ms. Trude, there are a couple questions from YouTube Live.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. One is, can you export your Book Creator books and insert them on a Padlet?
Yes, you can download them. So they are downloadable. The other way you can share them is they have an online link. So you can send, like you could put a link on a Padlet. So if you wanted like your whole class to see each other's books, you could do it that way as well.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you can print them as a PDF. Like I do that sometimes for the kids, is you can print them out as a PDF in color. And then you can add them to your library in your classroom and you have books that everyone's made and the kids like that.
Yes. And the second question is, how do you compare Book Creator and Adobe Spark? These have similar functions.
Yeah, they're similar in some ways. I like Spark more for the video element of it, like the video I showed you guys in Spark, because it gives it like that one more, it's like a little more, I don't want to say spicy, but it's like a little extra, like because it puts it all together as the movie. Whereas Book Creator, it's more the book I mean, I would say if I compared the book creator feature to the Adobe Spark Pages, in that way they're similar. But the Adobe Spark Video is probably my favorite video creation tool.
Yeah, thank you. And
course.
I have a question also. I like the Adobe Spark look like much easier than VVideo to create the video
Oh my gosh,
project.
yes. Spark is very easy for a video project. Like VVideo is a little more complex.
Yes.
I mean, I even think it's complex, but if you add a video clip in Adobe Spark, they do limit you to like only a few seconds, where VVideo, we know we can have long video clips. So there's a little difference in that element of it. But in terms of user friendliness, Adobe Spark is much more user friendly.
Yes, and so it's much more friendly for the younger students.
Absolutely,
too.
for the younger students, very user friendly. It's simple plus button, pick your image, plus button, type your text, hit the microphone, record. Like,
do they have limit the for the video? How long the video?
No, there's no time limit on it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, they're not limited on time. They might, sometimes it'll tell them like, your video is getting a little long, and reminds them it might take longer to download, but there's not a time limit on it.
And it's possible for a student to invite friends to make a book together, or use Adobe Spark together?
Yes, they can collaborate. There's a collaborate button on there, so they can share it with whoever. So you could have 2 students working together, or 3, or 4.
So another question from Adobe Spark: how can teachers give feedback to students' project in there? Like Flipgrid, you showed us we can immediately give video feedback. So
with Spark, what I do is I have my students submit through Google Classroom. I just have them share their video with me on Classroom, and then I can give them feedback. I use Google Classroom. Or another trick you can do with it, and I've had my students do this too, is in the Flipgrid, and I'm trying to get back to my Flipgrid. I have the students sometimes post their Spark videos on Flipgrid. So I'm going to show you some of those.
That's clever.
That way I can give them that immediate feedback. So I'm just going to go to one of my classes. There we go. And on, let's see, of course I picked the wrong class. That's the wrong French 3 class.
When you try to find the good video, one more question. Do students have to create an account to use Book Creator or Adobe Spark?
So for Adobe Spark, yes, they need an account. For Book Creator, you just give them your teacher code, and then they join in your library.
Thank you.
All right, so here's this one. They used Adobe Spark to create a video about their daily routine. And this is actually an app smash, so it leads into that last section, just so you get the idea. And we're gonna go to this video. So she created this in Adobe Spark. She made it, but then she put her pictures from Snapchat. So she's combining, like literally we're combining 3 apps here. So we're using Snapchat, Adobe Spark, and we're using Flipgrid. So 3 tools, combine them together, you get an app smash. But this way I could give her that quick feedback. So there she got 100, and there I'd already given her a feedback, and she added fun music. So she just goes through, and they all did this similar style where they made their videos. Let me just show you guys another example to give you ideas. So again, same deal. They're just using Adobe Spark for their original video. They uploaded that into Flipgrid, and then I can give that feedback to them right away. So that's a quick, easy way to do that. And that's also an app smash. So what is that? That's when you combine 2 or more apps or tools to create projects. And it gives students a more creative way to showcase their learning And for teachers, it's a way to assess their understanding and skills. So that one, there we go. So this is the one I showed you guys earlier, was the one I did with my map, Screencastify, and Flipgrid. So that's the one that won the competition. And if you want to recreate it in your school, I gave you the link. And then I gave you some more ideas on how you can app smash with Flipgrid. So those are there. I just showed you, well, this is another one you can do. This one's really fun for little kids, where you can use ChatterPix or animate anything. And the cool thing is you can pick, in ChatterPix, you can pick any kind of object, animal, pretty much anything you want, or animate anything works the same way. And so it's for those shy students who don't want to show their face on camera. They pick an object to use, or it could be an object that represents the topic, and it's that face that moves. So it's really kind of fun. And it has like a moving mouth, the whole bit. So it's a fun way for the kids who don't want to show their voice, or sorry, show their face, but they'll still talk. And they like it. So there's, and I gave you an example there you can watch on your own time. Okay, these are the ones that I was just showing you all. So we use Snapchat, Adobe Spark, and Flipgrid. And those are more examples. So that's a fun one. You can do it with Book Creator as well. So I put the link there to one of the books. So you can just use, my student took their pictures in Snapchat, and then they upload it into Book Creator. So that's a simple app smash as well. And then they can actually share this link on Flipgrid, and then I can watch it all at once if I want. This one is more complicated. This is when I kind of get into my little realm of I'm going really crazy techie. So we use the app Cardboard Camera, so to take a 360 picture. And then we meshed it with Flipgrid. So we did 360 storytelling. So my students were actually wearing Google Cardboard viewers and looking at the image, and then they were hearing the audio describing the picture in Flipgrid. So we were just describing and discussing weekend plans, but made it kind of a 360 experience, immersive. It was really fun, but it's a little more complicated to do. And then if you need more ideas on app smashing, these are 2 PDF books. That's one of my friends put out. So you can look at Joe's work. He is so inspiring. And he teaches down in Florida. So these are just ideas on how you can combine all these apps together. And you can do really awesome things in the classroom. So I will open it up to questions of any kind now, since our time is almost up. So what questions may I answer for you all?
Here has one more question. Why can for book creator, can students collaborate as a team to create one book together?
Yes, they could.
So for the free version,
for the free, no, but in the paid, yes. The free version, you're limited to, I believe it's 40 books in total. So that's not a lot. That doesn't, for me, that would cover 2 of my classes, and that's it. So I have to have the paid version.
Yeah. And also, before have one teacher ask about, could you use the preschools as an example to demonstrate the Flipgrid?
Let's see.
I don't know.
I'm confused by the question.
I think maybe the teacher, because when you show the disco library, from the library, you can see a lot of material. From
and what you can do, like, say I'm back on the disco lab so you guys can see it. So say I wanted a topic, I'll just pick something. Sure, just as an example, say I wanted to use this topic with one of my classes. I could just select a grid and I could put it there. So I could say, okay, what's my one word that I want my students to share or draw out? And then I could just say, okay, I want it in this class. And then I hit add. and then I can edit it. So if I don't like it, I can change it how I'd want it. And then I just hit update topic. So you can take from other teachers. So now it's in my grid and now it's mine. So I hope that answered your question. If not, if I didn't answer it, send me an email and I will work with you all one-on-one and make sure you get the answer you want. And if I don't know it, I'll find the answer.
Yeah, if any teacher have question we couldn't ask Ms. Trude, you can unmute yourself and ask Ms. Trude directly.
Yeah, so please feel free, you can unmute. And I put the link back in the chat as well. I saw a couple of you all were asking for the presentation link again. So I put it there in the chat. And then you'll see in here, there we go. Let's get the chat away so you don't have to see that. There are tons of resources I gave you all as well. If my PowerPoint will advance. There we go. So if you needed more help with Flipgrid, there's the Educator's Guide to Flipgrid. This is also if you're looking for more Flipgrid sources. Flipgrid hires these 3 amazing educators, Anne, Janae, and Jess. They work at Flipgrid. They're all former teachers. And they host webinars all the time on Flipgrid and how to get started, like topic specific, you name it. They're amazing. And then you just go to their little link on there and that'll take you to them. Other resources I gave you all, these are all my presentations, but you have access to all of them. So if you want some help with Google Forms, there's some Google Forms information. Using Flippity for online games and activities, that's a really cool presentation to check out. If you've never played with Flippity before, oh my goodness. That will send you down a rabbit hole and you will become addicted. You can make bingo, you can make Jeopardy, you can do Hangman. What else do I like on there? Mad Libs, you name it, and it's all free. It is so, oh, you can make like flashcards too, quizzes, you name it. Everything's there and it's awesome. If you want more help with Google My Maps, so you can do that cool app smash I showed you guys, that's there. If you want to get really techie, they decided, there we go. You can do it some time savers with Google Sheets. If you want to do screen recording, I've got some Screencastify tutorials for you. All right, then these are just links to some of my other ones. That's more just on Flipgrid. If you want to do virtual reality, that one's there. My HyperDocs is there, Screencastify. And then people had asked me about book creator ambassadors, so I put that link there as well for you. And all these, feel free to share them with your colleagues. Everything is there, and it's also on my website as well, which is back at the very beginning. The very, very beginning. But I can put it in the chat if you need my website. Let's see if I can get it up there really fast for you all. There we go. I'll put my contact back up. There we go. All right, other questions, and you can unmute too. You guys don't have to be shy.
Yes.
Or is there any questions on YouTube Live?
So far, no.
Can I ask you a question, Heidi?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my question for you before you leave is that you have won so many awards for teaching excellence, and we have many young teachers here today. So can you share your experience? I'm also wondering how much does the technology plays a role in the making yourself an outstanding teacher? Is that also one of the criteria when they select teacher of the year and so on? So I think you are so experienced in this regard.
I can explain the teacher of the year process. So technology is actually not one of the criteria. It's nowhere on their rubrics at all. That process, oh my gosh, that process was so intense. But it starts off with you have to be named your state language teacher of the year. So since you guys are the national capital region, if you're in Virginia, you could be nominated and be FLAVA teacher of the year. If you're in Maryland, there's the Maryland Foreign Language Association. Or if you're in DC, you can be part of GWATFL, the Greater Washington Area of Teachers of Foreign Language. All three of us honor state teachers of the year. Once you're state teacher of the year, you then get to go to your regional conference where you compete there. You put together a portfolio. In your portfolio, you highlight student work. So for mine, I did pick some elements that had technology in them, just because that's a lot of who I am and what I do with my students. Other teachers have done that, have not done that, because I've been on the other side of the table now, I can say, like actually getting to select the people. So it varies what you put, like what people choose to highlight, but a lot of it is how you connect to the ACTFL standards with your practice, how you connect to those. And I have a whole nother presentation all about the ACTFL standards. I don't think I put it on my website yet, but it's there. But you just like, I was never expecting it, to be honest, to be like FLAVA teacher of the year. And then when they said, oh, you're going to regionals, I'm like, okay, where's that? And what am I doing? Because I've never really gone out of Virginia except to go to France. They're like, you're going to Atlanta. And I'm like, okay, cool, great. I'm going to a regional conference. I've never been to a regional conference. Alrighty then. And then I'm thinking, okay, there was 10 of us, 12 of us. And I'm like, there's no way that it was going to be me. We had to do an interview in front of a panel. You have to give a speech as part of it. Memorize speech, no notes, completely bam. They're just like, okay, give your speech, the first 2 minutes of what would be a 10-minute speech on language advocacy. So mine was actually at that time in Virginia, we were dealing with the coding bills that computer coding should replace world languages. So my speech was all about why coding should not be a replacement for languages. And I went on a whole tangent with that. And then you gave your speech, you answered their interview questions, and then I found out at SCOLT, I won and I was completely speechless. Then they take the 5 regional teachers, so from the 5 regions, and then the 5 of us go to ACTFL, and then you compete at ACTFL, same process, you put together a portfolio. Basically, you're building your portfolio from each level, it like builds and you add more. So for the ACTFL level, I also had to have a video of my classroom and me teaching, which that was probably the most nerve-wracking part. Not like the kids were fine with it. It was more, I don't like being on film. And I'm like, it was, that was nerve-wracking for me just because I wasn't used to being filmed and filming my teaching and thinking everything through. And then you write lots of reflections for ACTFL. You reflect on your video, you reflect on your student work, etc. Like it was, that was literally the hardest thing I've ever done is writing that portfolio. And then you interview again, do your speech again, and then you stand on the big stage with the fancy lights and the music and everything. And then you wait. And then they don't say your name. But you still stand there and you smile through it all. And you're just like, honestly, I'm actually happier it wasn't me. Because I could do what I wanted. After that, I didn't have to be the ACTFL spokesperson. I could just be Heidi. And that's who I am. And I like my advice to those of you who are just starting out in your careers, pick one tool, pick one thing and work with that. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, Heidi showed us all this. We have to do it all. That's not true. Pick what you're good at, find what your passion is and what works with your learners and go with that. And then next year, try another one. Like, don't try to throw everything in your bag of tricks right now and throw it out all at once at the kids. If you throw out too much, too fast, it's not going to last with those students. That was my long answer to your question.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you. Heidi, do you have a time for another question?
Absolutely. I have nothing planned this evening. I can talk as long as you guys want me to talk.
From a remote instruction, and I realized I need to help my students reflect better on their learning process, on their learning content. Yeah. And I'm so glad you mentioned like the teachers need to reflect a lot, but how I teach my students to reflect on
that's a great question.
Anything?
Yeah. So what I've done with my students, especially during remote learning, I'll actually show you guys. I'll go into my classroom where my kids are and show you guys. I'll show you one of their assignments that I have them do. We'll just hop here, hop to these guys. I'll go to one of their hyperdocs. Because what I did in remote learning, everything we did was through a hyperdoc, which if you've never used these, you will love them. So we did these. I made these as Google Slides for this class because they found it easier. But I had them each time reflect on their learning. So at the end of their hyperdoc, and of course it's going to be slow. But this format, the kids really liked it. So we started off with a way to engage, just kind of to prime their brain, something fun. So they watched this little video. It was a little ad. And I asked them, you know, watch it. It's a French ad. And I wanted them, my little quote up here was, Tarzan en frigo, does Tarzan have a refrigerator? So they had to watch the ad and try to figure it out. Does he really own a fridge, or what in the world is going on in this crazy advertisement that Madame is showing us? And then they had to do some activities here, blah, blah, blah. They do all these things. Then it comes to the reflection. So complete the Google form to reflect on your learning. So each time in distance learning, they had to do this. So, of course, and for their reflection, I wanted them to write it in English so they would be completely open and honest with me. So they had to put their name, the date that they completed it, tell me what they learned this week. I had them tell me how comfortable they feel, like, I really got this, I'm a rock star, or I have no idea what's going on. And then I asked them, you know, what do you feel you can do really well? Where have you improved? Because a lot of our topics carried over. And then I asked them, what do they want more time on? Like, what do we need to keep working on? What could you do to improve your understanding? So not what I as the teacher can do, but putting it on them. Like, what could they do better? And a lot of my kids would share, like, I need to spend more time actually doing my distance learning, and or not put it off till the day before it's due or the night it's due, or asking them, like, what resources could they use as well? And then I asked them what I could do to help them, or what could I have done differently to help them learn more easily, and what resources. So kind of make them think, like, and for me, what can I do to improve as a teacher? And then I asked them which activities and assignments they like the most from this hyperdoc, what worked, like, and of course, some of them are going to tell me the things that I was just like, nope, sorry, we still have to do that, but it lets me know that, well, they didn't really like it, so I'll tweak it for next year. And then any comments or questions. So this was my typical feedback that I gave them each week of distance learning. So from March all the way till this week, because today's my last day of school. So they did these every week. And then they also, in the very last one, they had an open-ended, like, reflection essay they wrote about their learning and their whole distance learning experience. But then when I'm not in my classroom, like, well, sorry, when I'm not doing distance learning, other ways I've done it is through Pear Deck. If you're not familiar with Pear Deck, it's another awesome app to check out. And it has easy little exit tickets that you can share with your students. Super easy. So if you don't want to do a complicated Google form, you can just put it up there and they can do a quick little write. It has images, the whole bit. Like, there's so much you can do in Pear Deck. And it does have Chinese characters, and it works with Chinese. I do know that because it was in their template.
Thank you
Other
so
questions?
much.
Of course.
So
Anyone else?
I love your questions. I can see how, because of all this kind of reflections, you do create a lot of autonomous learners, which we need to create.
If you guys want the form, if you just email me, I will happily share this Google form so you can create it and modify it.
I can definitely use it. I can see my college student can use them too.
Yeah, and I have so just email me and I can give you a copy of it so you can have it and tweak it for your students, and maybe take off the cute little French cafe picture because you all probably don't want that for your kids. Maybe you do. maybe you want to wish her in France.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course, I'm happy to share anything.
Yeah.
Could I have a quick question for you?
Go for it.
I'm so sorry. I think that how should I help my students focus on the screen because they are so little, like 3 to 5 years old and grade 1 and 2. And I just learned that this whole technology in the very short period of time since March. So, and I have been stay up late until next day to prepare this Google Slides materials.
Yeah.
But I realized that regardless how much work, how much things I have been trying to do to impress the student to just have them to be more focused, but it's really hard. And I just realized that maybe my technology, just because I do not know much, I recently, just for this couple months, I started to learn the Google Slides, all kind of technologies and the Zoom, because, you know, for the lower schools teachers, they don't really use too much technology through the classroom. We use a lot of visualize, hand, sensory skill. So because that, would you be able to give me some suggestion? Maybe I should really improve during the summer to learn more technology or something else I should focus on.
I would recommend Google Slides is very easy for the kids to use, like, and you could put a lot of your visuals there. Like, I would also use a screen recording tool. Like, I would use something, it's called Loom, Loom. And it's an awesome, like, I use it in all my videos with my kids. Like when I would teach the lessons asynchronously, because I'm one who likes to use my hands and have visuals too, because high schoolers need the visuals just as much as our younger learners do. Like they need, if I'm pointing out, telling them, like, for example, we're teaching like silverware and cups and dishes, I would have those props there with me and pointing it out, and still, because I use a lot of comprehensible input when I teach my kids. So I would have those visuals, like I would make those videos. I had one friend, she had a giant whiteboard that she put like behind her on her wall. So she could just turn her laptop and she could still write on the board and give the kids those visuals for the story. Other tools you could use, and I'm trying to think because I am not as focused on elementary. I'm trying to think what my friends use with elementary learners. I think my friend Nathan uses Seesaw. I'm not as good with Seesaw, but Seesaw you could try as well to look at.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, Seesaw, my friend Nathan uses it, and he teaches elementary dual immersion French and Seesaw.
Okay.
He looks at. Pear Deck is also very user-friendly. What I mentioned, like for the exit ticket. I'll put it in the chat for you guys, the names, so in case anyone's looking for them.
Okay.
Go back and look at those. So Seesaw, I would say Pear Deck. I love Pear Deck. It has lots of cute graphics and images. Those are the two that really are nice. And I would say things that are, and Pear Deck's easy enough that kids can just circle things. So you could ask them, what is it? They could circle it. They could like do multiple choice with Pear Deck. They can do drawing on Pear Deck. What else? They can write an answer. They can match pictures, so they can draw lines and do matching. So it's a very fun tool and very easy for, I think the little kids could grasp onto it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your info. Thank you.
Do I prefer Pear Deck or Nearpod? Pear Deck. Because my district doesn't use Nearpod, so Pear Deck is my answer. Okay, let me see what else. I'm just looking. Okay, resources for HyperDocs I see is in the chat. And remember on my slides at the very end, I have a HyperDoc presentation. So that one's a good place to start. Their website though, the official sponsors of HyperDocs is hyperdocs. Oops, I can type this correctly in the chat. hyperdocs.co. That's the creators of the HyperDocs. That's their website. It's just hyperdocs.co. It's not .com, it's .co. I know it's a little weird, but just go with it. And then I have mine, which is specifically geared to language teachers. So And I'm happy to share HyperDoc templates if you guys need them. So just email me. And I'm happy to do that as well. But these are just these are my little formats that I've used with my kids. They like them. And they've been very easy to manipulate. Other questions you all may have or things I might have missed or that you want to know more about, because I don't mind talking.
Ms. Trude have one more question on the chat. How did you get the technology certifications?
Okay.
What are the popular ones?
Okay. So I am a Google certified educator, level 1, level 2, as well as a Google certified trainer. And if you just Google certification, like teacher certifications, you can take those tests, like for Google certified level 1 and level 2. Those are paid. You have to pay for the tests that you take in each test. Both of them are 3-hour tests. So it's a little long and a little intensive. The trainer application is even more intensive because that one you have to do case studies, you have to make videos, you have to have references. So that one's a little more involved, and they are very, very selective for Google trainers. So that's that certification. The Flipgrid certifications, they're very easy to obtain to be Flipgrid certified level 1, level 2, level 3. I'm also a Flipgrid ambassador. Book Creator ambassador was very easy to get. Let me see, which other ones do I have? Quizlet, that one's easy. Kahoot's easy. Pretty much, I have most of them. I also have a certificate from the University of Colorado Boulder in instructional technology. So that program is amazing. Like if you're looking to do something in your free time and you want to go earn some graduate credits, you want to look up, it's the University, I'll put it in the chat, University of Colorado Boulder, and you're going to look for the language certificate program. And that program is all about integrating technology in your classroom. They have some summer classes going on that start this summer at some point. And you can get your certificates. They do awesome webinars there. Like I've done several webinars for the program since I've graduated even from it. But it's an amazing program. Like I learned so much in it that I hadn't learned already. So that would be one I'd really recommend. Okay, HyperDocs. I see someone you missed when I talked about it. Sure. So with a HyperDoc, again, like I have the resources at the end of our slide deck. And if you need the slide deck, I'll put it in the chat. So there's that. And what it is you can basically make them, it's an interactive document. And in the chat, I'll put the link as well. It's hyperdocs.co is the official website of the founders. They wrote a book, the whole bit there. They're called the HyperDoc Girls. I've met them. I've actually attended a master class with them. So I love making HyperDocs for distance learning. It's just an easy way to pack everything in one, to have all your resources. Yes. And you can practice all the modes on your HyperDocs there as well. Like mine that I showed you all, I'll put it back up. There we go. So I put that back up there. Like my kids in here, they have writing practice, they have reading, they've got the speaking. There we go. So this one, they actually had to, this is a cool project. They had to look at fables and fairy tales. And then it opens to their document. It tells them all what they have to do. So they had to pick a French fable or fairy tale. They had to write an alternative ending to it, illustrate it, and then they shared it out on Flipgrid. So then they read their fable to us and shared all about it. And we loved it because then we watched each other's in our live class session. So it was really, really fun. Then they have had, and this one, they had sentence writing practice. They did some listening here with Ed Puzzle, talking about household chores. We did this one, they practiced their vocab. We did exercises with This Is Language, which unfortunately they don't have Chinese yet. They're working on it. When they get it, you're gonna wanna watch it, like use it. It's Oh, that tool is so cool. Then they looked at a cartoon, and then they were looking for certain things in the cartoon. They had an audio clip, and they had to identify 3 different verbs that she used in the recording and tell me if they were passé composé or imparfait, so our past tense. They learned about household chores, and they listened to French teenagers talking about those chores, and then they had video questions. So you can literally pack everything in one document. So that's just one example of one of mine. Other questions you all may have?
I think now is already 9:33. Miss Trude already talked 1.5 hours, more than 1.5 hours. Thank you, Miss Trude,
Of course.
so much.
And if you guys have more questions, feel free to email me, and I'll put my email in the chat for you all. So you can email me any questions you may have. There it is. I just put it in the chat. So any questions, and I'll stop sharing my screen now so I can see you all. So you're not just, I only saw a few of you. So now I see everybody. Yay. So any questions, anything? It's been a pleasure sharing with you all on this Friday night. I just want to thank you all again for this opportunity. It has been wonderful. You guys have been such a great audience. So many good questions. So thank you. Merci tout le monde.
Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank
you.
you all.
So many thank you notes, you know,
I
coming
know, I'm seeing it
in
all.
the
Now I can see
chat
the
box.
chat.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's
Of
a wonderful
course.
night.
You're welcome.
So great a presentation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're like the treasure box. Have so
Yeah.
many
Thank you.
there for us. Thank you.
Of
Merci.
course. Anytime.
So thank you. Thank every teachers come join us too. Thanks, Miss Trude. Let's give her a big applause.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wish everyone have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Miss Trude.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Can we have a picture taken?